is John Piper with the weekend video clip, and it's Saturday the 16th of September. We have a very quick look at Bitcoin first this morning, and then a more detailed look later on. I got involved with Bitcoin back around here when Bitcoin was around 700, I think it was November 2016. Didn't actually buy Bitcoin, I bought Bitcoin mining shares, the reason being that I didn't really understand the market very well. I thought it was a good thing to get involved with, as it has definitely proven. Still up around I think 1,000% in less than a year. But I wasn't too keen on the volatility, so I therefore bought these mining shares through BitClub Network, and basically they created a revenue stream of Bitcoin over the last year. Now, in fact, the revenue stream is higher when Bitcoin is cheaper, and a bit lower in terms of Bitcoin when Bitcoin is higher. But all we've seen again and again and again are these lurches down. This is actually not a log scale. I'll look at a log scale later on. Lurches down with people making various inane comments like Bitcoin is a fraud. Interesting comments on that from Dollar Vigilante, but saying that the bigger fraud is the fiat money system, as we perhaps all know. Anyway, we've now got another decent buying opportunity here. Well, sorry, it's past, because these things happen so quickly that you don't really get much of a chance unless you're really keyed up at the time. I'll be looking at this later, but you know the thing looks to me like it's going to go higher now. We've seen the correction, and we could go a lot higher, I think. There will undoubtedly be sudden lurches down again. The Chinese experience is interesting. Certainly Bitcoin has reacted, but China's one country and Bitcoin is decentralized. Two exchanges in China appear to have been closed down. So the solution would seem to be to create Bitcoin exchanges that are decentralized. I don't see any problem with this. Apparently it's quite simple. There are many countries that support Bitcoin as well. So China can do what it's done, but I don't think it's really going to stop Bitcoin. It'll shake out a few weak holders. It'll make people feel nervous. All good stuff for a booming market, I think. There will, of course, be a much more serious correction at some point. I don't think this is it. And we'll look at that in more detail later in this. We're looking at the Dow. The equities are rather all over the place right now. We had this ABC correction, A, B, C, then an ABC rally, and you would expect a C wave decline to follow that. Didn't get that, so we've got this buying coming in. Difficult to say what's happening here, really. It may be a more complex ABC with a peak coming in. That's probably my favourite count at the moment. I'm not too inclined to look at equities right now. My main interests are Bitcoin, gold, and the currencies, which we'll look at in all three currencies one way or another. We'll look at those, but I will just look at FTSE and the DAX quickly. Well, the DAX has seen a much bigger decline from the peak we saw back in June. A, B, C, under there. A, B, irregular C, as it were. Sorry, irregular B, I should say. So it looks like we could easily see another decline here. So the Dow is also possible. I don't know whether the Dow has been encouraged by the weaker dollar. The currencies are quite interesting right now, in the fact that we have the debt ceiling on the US going above 20 trillion. I'm not sure how important this is. Apparently the US Treasury lost 100 trillion some years ago. And the whole thing seems to be out of control really already, but perhaps a much weaker dollar is what's fueling the US markets, whereas of course it has a very different effect on European markets. But right now, another decline here looks likely, but it's just not coming. I mean, I would like to see some kind of signal really before we go in, because clearly these markets are getting very volatile. Now, FTSE has shown some signs of life since the peak here. A, B, C, then a sort of prolonged a B wave there, then 1, 2. Now the third wave is finally coming in. So a 4 and a 5 here could see some kind of important low on FTSE. Although how that would harmonise with the other markets, I'm not too sure. Although of course I'm not really harmonising much anyway, so maybe that's totally irrelevant point. But again, right now not too interesting. Although maybe one more leg down, but could become quite interesting shortly. Right, looking at pound dollar, this is I think the most interesting chart this week. We had this big ABC of above $2 to the pound. Then we had this corrective B wave. Now we've got a C wave coming in. 1, 2, 3. Now I thought the peak was in there, but we've actually shot up here. Now I'm wondering if there's some kind of fundamental thing going on here. I'm not a great fundamentalist, but we have got this debt ceiling on the dollar, which has now been broken. Now, perhaps what's happening here is that we're actually getting a reaction to that debt ceiling. I mean, the more debt the US has, the weaker the currency is liable to be. Now, how much effect this could have? It could make a fundamental change. We've got a very clear pattern here, suggesting we've got a final fifth wave decline to come in. I mean, the UK interest rate news, or possible interest rate news, it seems very, very airy-fairy. Could be a factor, but I think the debt ceiling is perhaps a more important issue. So I think maybe the fundamentals are now at play here, but I'm not sure what's exactly happened. Let's have a look at the shorter-term action to see what may be. Okay, here's a previous peak, which looked like the peak of wave 4. We had a decline here, which can be counted as a 5 or a 3. In the event, looks like an A, B, C, as obviously we've got new highs. So 5 waves up here, 1, 2, 1, 2. There's a 5 there as well, in fact. It looks like a third wave, of course, but it counts a bit like a fifth, because this would tend to be the third here. So a fourth wave, and then a fifth wave blow off, which has got 1, 2, 3, 4. So one more rally here would give us a complete 5-wave pattern and could show the peak. So what I'll be looking for at the moment, I'll go down another leg. All right, this is the 30-minute chart. So this is the start, the first move up, 2, 3. It looks like a corrective fourth. So it looks to me that we're going to see a fifth wave. It rather depends what comes after that. If we see another corrective move following such a peak, then that would suggest that this is actually a prolonged move. If we see a much sharper fall, I think a sharp fall is pretty likely given the action we've seen, then that could mean that we have finally seen this wave 4 peak. But I'm still slightly excited about these fundamentals. You know, this debt ceiling, that the dollar. I mean, the dollar has the weaponry behind it. I think that's quite an important point. So you know, the US is in a fairly dominant position in many ways in the world as it is. China and Korea may be trying to change that in some extent, but I don't think they've done very much so far, although they're trying. So it seems to me that overall the dollar will probably win out, but there is some concern there. But ultimately, I look at the chart patterns and it depends what happens next. But right now, I'm not taking any positions, and new positions. I did in fact buy some dollars in the week, which perhaps wasn't the greatest timing, although it wasn't too dreadful. But we'll have to see how this works out. But this is the most probably the most important chart actually at the moment, because you know, currencies do affect a whole load of things and a whole load of people, whereas stock markets are not quite so important. Right, gold is still looking bullish at the moment. So we have the 1 wave there, 2 wave there. They've got a 1, 2. Then a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now another 4. So this is all the 3 under this count, and this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. That's to complete the move from there. Okay. At that point, we're looking for another 4th wave to pair up with this 2 wave. So at the moment, everything's looking hunky-dory. If this decline continues, that would be a concern. There's support of 13.15 there, which is a spike. But it could in fact go a little bit further without getting close to touching the high of 1, which is around 1300, so 1295 thereabouts. So right now, gold looks strong, unless we see something to the contrary. Right, back to Bitcoin. Okay, so from the move off 5,000, we can see a clear A, B, C, followed by a B, another A, B, and a 5-part C, 4 there, 5. So this counts pretty well as the low of a corrective move. Let's go down another leg, just seeing the pattern we've seen on the rally so far. Okay, we have a nice clear 5-wave move here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 and 5. So that counts as a 1 with a 2. It all gets a bit sloppy here. Another 5 here. So this could, I suppose, be an ABC, or a very strong first A wave. And since then, we've been dawdling sideways, really. We need a bit of clarity. We could do with, well, a bit of a sell-off would be quite nice. I'm looking to buy. We see a sell-off at this point. I'm pretty encouraged by the way this action has panned out. But always with care, you need to use stops. It's quite hard on Bitcoin. The IG spread is still, well, actually varies between 10 and 20, which is quite a big price to pay in many ways. With the FX choice, the spread is tighter, but you have got the problem that they don't trade on Saturdays or Sundays, whereas IG is only Saturday that's missing. And unfortunately, lots seems to happen at the weekend, which doesn't actually help matters on this. Anyway, it's looking good as far as I can see. I'm encouraged that we're going to go up from here, not down. But clearly, if we retest 3,000 and break it, then that would be well, that would change things quite dramatically. On that note, I'll call it a day. I hope you found it interesting and useful. Back to the report. Chisholm, one of the subscribers. Have a great weekend. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.